Queen City News Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, what does this case look like? The children are so young.
They are young, but this is where you have to start, where you have a product that's being targeted towards youth, similar to the story that we were talking about in terms of social media. You got to point the efforts to where the issue is. And so this law firm is not a firm that's new to these types of cases. Motley Rice has handled major cases, 9/11 family cases, asbestos type of cases, big tobacco. I mean, so they don't run from the fight. And so a case like this is right up their alley. I mean, but what they've said, the major portion is that these companies knew or should have known that there was a risk for substantial harm to children, that the lead contaminated in their product was there, and those levels were way higher than could ever be tested.
Well, and what's interesting, the FDA has been looking at this for quite a while, and there's some talk out there on the street that this could have been intentionally poisoned, I guess, if you will. I mean, is that part of the investigation? I'm sure that's separate from what this Hickory family is asking for.
It definitely is. And what I love about any of these agencies that do this type of work, that are out there to try to protect consumers, is that once they find out there's a problem, the family found out that their kids' levels were being tested high, and they tried to go back and trace, okay, where exactly did we coming from? And then they figured out, okay, we're getting these pouches of applesauce. Maybe it's that. Had the pouches tested, and then the FDA swoops in and they're like, well, you know what? We need to figure out what's going on with these pouches. And throughout that investigation, that's how you can figure out what's happening, if something was intentional or unintentional. If it was unintentional, then the legal remedy where they're going is the right way. Civil liability, sue everybody that's involved, Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, anyone that sold these products. But if it was intentional, a whole nother topic. Now you're talking about potential criminal liability for whoever was the person that was putting it in there. If someone was intentionally going out their way to poison an individual, but that would take a lot longer to find. But because there's cameras everywhere, because there's a paper trail everywhere, I can guarantee that the FDA is out there trying to figure out what happened. Most likely this was something where they believed that it met the minimum threshold for whatever could be there, and it didn't. And because they maybe didn't catch it in time, it was still out there. That known or should have known that this harm was there and what you did to prevent it, that's why there's liability, and that's what they'll have to, at some point, pay down the road.
Do you anticipate more victims coming forward, more cases, and what is a timeline on a case like this look like?
I would 100% anticipate folks coming off. I mean, this is something that you can pick up off the shelf real quick. I mean, everybody likes applesauce, and so now you've put it in a pouch. I don't need a spoon. I can squeeze it all day. You can give it to your kids. I mean, because it was so readily available and sold in these areas that typically are like food deserts. So you have them in these lower income areas that the easiest access to food is something that is non-perishable that you can grab on the go. I would anticipate that you will see an overwhelming amount of people that will have a claim. The problem is, do you have the damages, A, and do you have the trail to show that your damages were directly connected to this pouch? And that's something that the folks will have to move on fast, because you can't come 6 or 7 months later and say, hey, I think I was injured from those pouches from applesauce about 2 or 3 years ago. That would be a problem. So a lot of this is timely.